Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining this series in our YouTube channel on the Sales Bootcamp. And at this point, we're going to talk about how can you have a meaningful and authentic sales conversation. And because sometimes, when we go out there and try to sell ourselves, sometimes we sound what confusing, bland, and if we're not careful, sometimes we can also sound like we're very scripted. That makes the whole experience not authentic or not comfortable for our customers, and hence the inspiration for the topic today. So I think a lot of us, one of the reasons why we are struggling in building a business or in growing our business is that we are not able to communicate ourselves in a compelling and authentic way. Whether we're having an actual conversation or whether we're messaging people, sometimes people can really see a mile ahead if they are just gonna be sold on to something, no? And sometimes we also focus too much on our pitch that we disregard what the customer is telling us. Therefore, for this video, I'd like to talk about some of the things that you need to consider if you would like to have a meaningful and authentic sales conversation with your target client. I think the first thing that we have to remember or that we have to take note of is that don't be dependent on your scripts. Of course, you practice your sales conversation, you do role playing among others, but it's important that we be as natural as possible and try to avoid sounding like we've memorized a script, no? Sometimes some people would use the elevator pitch that is often used for startup presentations, but we don't want to do that because elevator pitches um, are meant for quick presentations for investors and for them trying to have an idea what an entity is up to, and that will help them move forward to another meeting. However, depending on the product or service that you are selling, you want to have a different experience insofar as you want to offer a different experience insofar as your customer is concerned, no? You want them to get to know you, you want them to understand what you're doing in order to have that authentic conversation with your customer. And I think and in the process, trust can increase, the appreciation of your value can increase over time, no? Especially if you will be able to successfully communicate what you do, how you can help them, and do the necessary follow up and be able to communicate that messaging consistently. Another thing that we also want to remember whenever we're trying to present our products and services and have a sales conversation with the people that we want to work with is the how do you answer the question, what do you do? More often than not, when we answer the question, what do you do, sometimes we identify ourselves according to a category. Like, for example, describing yourself as a coach or a social media specialist or an e-commerce specialist, among others. These are what is referred to as generic labels, including virtual assistants, SEO professional, financial consultant, etc., etc. And the challenge that you have there is that you don't know whether the person that you're talking to or who you will be talking to have preconceived notions about people in your category or people in your field, no? So hence the reason why you don't want to define yourself there is because you don't want to be confused as such. So you have to be able to find a way that you can um, describe what you do in such a manner that can be clearly understood, but at the same time not easily typecasted and be compared with other people that are in the same profession as you, no? So I think that is also important. Otherwise, you might get boxed in, and all the impressions, all the biases that the person you're talking to may have about people in your field may also hamper you from having an effective sales conversation with the person. Another thing that we also need to remember is we want to sound authentic when we're having a conversation. So in order to sound authentic, in order to have a conversation, when we're having that discussion, we are really there because we want to listen. We're there because we want to show that we're curious and interested about the person that we're talking to, about their needs, among others. And hopefully, in the process, be given the opportunity also to talk about what we do, our services, our programs, in such a manner that is not too, how do you call that? Parang hard sell, but instead will spark curiosity about what you do. Ideally, this would be a back and forth conversation, very, how do you call it, very lively, very interesting. Both of you discussing your challenges, how you've helped others, how can you help them, examples of benefits realized by others, um, and to the point that it's also in if it can inspire them to see that, wow, that it can that be possible with me, then you might be able to entice them to see their potential also, especially if you will be given the opportunity to work with them. So I think we have to remember that part, no? And the reason why you want to have an authentic conversation, a very authentic conversation, is that you don't want to sound like a robot, like you're reading a script. You're just following it. You're not exactly listening. Maybe the customer asked you something already where you could have taken a signal where they want more information, but since you want to stick to your script, you stop really caring as to what the customer wants to know. So we really have to be flexible and practice being a human when having a conversation with the people that we meet. And the more we practice, the more we can become comfortable and and make the conversation comfortable for both parties. So it is important that we listen, no? And be flexible enough in having our conversation. Sometimes, in the course of the conversation, if we feel that the person that we're talking to is not yet ready, then we should not force it. We should not force the product. We should not force the service. Maybe the person is not ready yet. Maybe the trust is not ready yet. Remember that the offers that you can make is only in proportionate to the level of trust that you have established. So if you feel that the level of trust is not yet there, then don't force it. No, don't force your ideas. Don't force your messaging. Otherwise, it might make the other person uncomfortable and may avoid talking to you again because they know that you're gonna pitch them or you're gonna pitch to them, and you don't want to be caught in such an awkward moment. However, um, in the process of building that relationship, you need to build rapport, you need to build trust, you need to build credibility. So in any conversation, whether online or face to face, don't forget to smile. And that smile must be real and authentic. Look at them in the eye when having your conversation. Be confident. Your body language should show that you are truly comfortable, and just be there. Just give your listening ear, and invest in building that relationship first, no? And by the time that there's an opportunity, by the time that the trust is already established and the person is already comfortable, they will also move forward and say that, hey, I wanna understand what you do more, no? And on your end, you can slightly talk about what you do without necessarily hard selling yourself or your services, especially if the person is not yet ready. Remember that a sales conversation is a dialogue. It is not intended to be a one-way conversation where one is monopolizing the conversation, no? So ideally, there should be two people in that conversation and learning from one another. So what I would like to do, um, maybe I can share some sort of a guide as to what can you do when having a conversation. So in the earlier videos, we talked about the importance of having a target market that you are meant to serve. So when having a sales conversation, we must be ready to tell people who is the target market that we're meant to serve. That way, if the person that we're talking to knows someone who who's in that field, who knows this person may be able to refer you. Second, more than just a target market, we also have to clearly communicate what their urgent needs are because we cannot serve everyone. So there are certain segments who have certain problems that are a good match for us because we know that we are capable of helping them in solving that problem by offering the following services that you can use to help the customers solve their problems. Also, as mentioned in the earlier videos, we should also be able to communicate the biggest benefit that we can give, no? The results that we can promise, whether it is about achieving a big goal or whether it is about solving a big problem, that it's up to you on how you're going to do that. And communicate also what are the opportunities um, that they can benefit from if they invest with you. Like for example, how can they benefit from it financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in terms of the overall benefits of working with you, or as a result or as an effect that forms part of the of the package in a sense, no? Because there are direct and indirect benefits, no, for every product or service that we are availing. So, for example, if people will ask me, "Hey, Janet, what do you do?" So I'm gonna tell them, "Well, actually, you know, there are business owners who currently have problems in how to make their online presence profitable, and in some cases also they don't have anyone in their team who can handle those requirements. So I help those type of business owners, no, by providing coaching, mentoring, training, no, in the area of e-commerce, digital marketing, and leadership. So I help them craft strategies on how they can implement their e-commerce and digital marketing campaigns, and we also work together in coming up with programs that they can use so that they can build their e-commerce presence further and attract clients. And for business, and in certain cases, especially if they have team members, also train the team members to take the lead, especially if the business owner does not want to be purely hands-on doing it themselves. So that is an example. If someone will ask me, what do I do? So rather than just say, "Oh, I'm a social media specialist. I administer Facebook pages," which is too bland. I make it conversational by focusing on what problems my customers are encountering, and and how do I help them solve those problems. And then in return, I could also ask, like, do you know, are you in that situation right now, or have you encountered that situation with in your business, or maybe in with any of your friends' business at the moment? So it's just like having a conversation. You see where the conversation goes, and then maybe they will come back to you, no, and get back to you in the process, and maybe to share your insight or continuing the flow of the conversation. And depending on the results that they have experienced in the process of sharing a story with maybe someone they've worked with, or the situation that they are in, then I will be able to mention that, actually, that is why it is very important that when working with a client, you need to see eye to eye as to the results that we both want to achieve. More often than not, for those that I got the chance to work with, the results that they want to see would be either an increase in their revenue online, and usually it also includes helping their people to be helping their people in terms of being trained so that they can take the lead and do it themselves, and continuously guiding them in the process. So if you have the opportunity to share that part, then I guess it gives more a human touch insofar as, why these things are important, what is the end game. And depending on the comfort level that you have in the conversation, and even your client on the comfort level, normally they will notice how passionate you are, how interested are you. Usually you can ask the question like, okay, oh, you are in that business. Tell me what got you into that business. Why do you do what you do? They will answer the question, and then maybe they can also throw back the question at you. Why do you do what you do? And you can also explain why you are doing what you're doing. What do you see? Maybe you can say that, I love doing this business. I love doing this type of work because I love to see how businesses grow online. I love to see also when the entrepreneurs don't have to worry too much focusing on capital, on or getting too stressed on putting up the necessary too much capital, all the infrastructure requirements in putting up a business, when nowadays you can manage them virtually. And I also like the idea um, that you be able to work with entrepreneurs wherever you are and wherever they are, um, giving that flexibility in space, and therefore also savings, no, in terms of related cost. And I also like to support entrepreneurs because I want them to achieve what their mission is, no, what their purpose, what their vision is in their business. And I think it is really important that you always connect to that, because most of us are in business because we want to achieve something big, or we have a bigger purpose that we want to serve. So it depends on you on how you're going to flow the conversation in order for it to be meaningful, interesting, empathetic, understanding, and trust building, credibility building in the process. And maybe it requires more than one conversation. You can have follow-up conversation. It depends. Maybe for me, I might end the conversation saying, why don't we have an online meeting, and then maybe I can have a better idea on what you do, or your challenges are, and maybe I can give advice, and then if I can help you, I will let you. Maybe I can pitch something from there. But if I see that I am not the right person, I will recommend someone right away who may be able to help you. So I think that is really important, because you're trying to show that you care more about the person rather than your wallet. Of course, you want your wallet to benefit from it, but but we should learn how to wait, because at the end of the day, we're trying to build um, trust here and credibility here. And if we really want to be of service, then we should care for the customer first, no, and understand their situation. All right. So I hope this quick guide on how to have a sales conversation is helpful for you. And then we will have another video again as a follow through for this series. Thank you so much for watching.